Hey, welcome back, Powersport Garage. Today we're working on my back there. Wow, screwing that up. CR250. So I was seeing a video from Dave Moore Racing where he was showing how he breaks in a motor cold by using his electric starter he uses to start his engines on the dyno to spin the motor over and cut the rings in for, I don't know, he didn't do it very long, maybe like a minute. So I figured I'd try that and see what kind of results we got on the leak down tester. So I did that, and we'll check that out and see what happens. So I did a leak down test before I put the motor in with no break-in at all, and it was at 13%. So that's what we're starting at. So after we do all this, we'll see where it's at. Okay, so I'll show you how. I'll tell you what this does. Leak down test. So here's the unit. You plug in shop air into there. Like that. Put your check leak down on the rings, and you check your head gasket, see if it's leaking air or compression. Put it at TDC, and I do that, and then I just rotate it just past, so when the air is pushing down on the piston, it wants to turn it counterclockwise, so when I have the ratchet locked on it, or the wrench or whatever, it doesn't want to loosen the nut. And then you turn in, you introduce some air pressure, run it up to, I'm going to go up to 75 here. 75. And this is the holding pressure. This is what your rings, your piston, and your head gasket are holding. That's 70. It's just a skosh over 70. It's not quite. That might be 71. I'll back that off. Okay, and this is after I did the cold break-in. And then you go over to your chart. Get the glare off that. So 75 psi, you can go greater, up to 100. 75 into that, and we're at 71, so that's a 5% leak down, which is really good, because 10 to 15% is okay on an engine that's been run. So that's what that does. You also can set it up. If you run this down to bottom dead center, and you block off your exhaust port, and I suppose you could leave the reeds in. That way you know that if they're leaking past the reeds, you'll hear it hissing out the intake. And also you can check your crank seals, which you probably don't want to introduce a whole bunch of pressure, just enough to hear if there's a hiss, or spray some fluid on them, look for bubbles. And check that. On a 4-stroke, you can use it to check your intake and exhaust valve also. You'll hear if the intake valve's leaking, you'll hear the air coming out the intake track, and if the exhaust is leaking, you'll hear it come out the exhaust pipe. Kind of a good way to do a quick check to see if you got a certain amount of wear. You say this is the parameters for a 2-stroke single cylinder, and 15 to 20% it's starting to wear, and above 20 is need time to rebuild her. So you can go by hours and stuff, and that'll give you a good deal. But before I took this motor apart, I had a lot of time on it. I think I rode it. I couldn't tell you how many hours. I don't keep track. I rode it for 2 summers, so that's about every other weekend. Probably 4 or 5 hours on a weekend, depending if I go for a full weekend to the one area we ride out and camp out. That's like an hour, and you come back and take a break, go out another hour. You know, that's about enough for me for a day. So that's how. And that what did I have? I had like way out of the parameter. I had a lot of leak down. I put in 75 psi, and it was holding maybe, I think, 35 psi. So that's out of the chart on for here. So it doesn't even register, you know, 64 psi. If you put in 75 and it's holding 64, you got a 15% leak down. I'd have to do the math to figure that out. Yeah, I'd say 15. If it's above 15, you know, it was definitely worn out. The piston was had a lot of blow by on it, and it was definitely time. It still run good. You know, you could ride it and it felt like it run good, but it was clearly worn out. So I did that and rebuilt her, and see how it goes this summer. So when I did this whole thing, I took my drill, the little socket adapter on there, and spun this motor over for a minute to break in the rings cold. So that's the first time I did that, and it definitely had a good result with the leak down test. That's the only test I can do. That's the only equipment I have. So anyways, we'll see what happens there. So I'm gonna do another leak down test after I get this bike running, and after I break it in like I normally do, which is I run it pretty much idle, rev it easily to keep the plug clean. I'll have a fan in front of it so it doesn't overheat. I'll get it up temp, shut it off, let it sit and heat soak for, I don't know, half hour, 15 minutes or something. Start it up again, get it up to temp, shut it off, let it sit. And I'll do that 3 times. And then, once it cools completely down, I'll take it out and ride it. No wide open throttle, just I'll get on the pipe a few times, go through the gears, you know, maybe just putt around, kind of like trail ride deal. I'll take it out into the vineyard and rip it down the lane. We got the lane is probably, I don't know, half mile long, so I can get through the gears on that, not on the throttle hard. So I'll do that, and I'll do another leak down and see what percentage that gets after I put some runtime on it, and I'll probably do a short on that or something, I think, because I got to get tires. It's going to be probably a week or so before I do that. Fella's got to put some hours in at work to get some more parts, so we'll do that and get back. So after I get my tires in and all that stuff, we'll have a little ride time on it, and we'll do another little video or something. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and have a good day. Talk to you later.